Charles Bronson, the tough guy of Hollywood, the man who could stare down anyone without saying a word, the one who became a legend in action movies. But here is the twist. There was someone Charles Bronson truly hated, and it might not be who you think. Stick around, because this story is not just about movies. It is about rivalry, ego, and one of Hollywood's most unexpected feuds. Charles Bronson was not like most actors. He did not need fancy suits, long speeches, or smiling for cameras to make an impression. He let his eyes and his quiet presence speak for him, and people noticed. He became a global star, especially famous for films such as Death Wish and The Magnificent Seven. But behind the scenes, not everyone was a fan of Charles. In fact, there was one actor in Hollywood who got under his skin more than anyone else. You might be thinking, was it Steve McQueen, Clint Eastwood, or maybe Paul Newman? Surprisingly, it was none of them. The man Charles Bronson truly hated was Marlon Brando. Yes, the Marlon Brando. The man who changed acting forever with A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather. Now, it might sound strange. After all, Marlon Brando was a genius actor. But here is why Bronson could not stand him. Bronson and Brando were complete opposites. Brando was dramatic, theatrical, and sometimes very difficult on set. Stories say he would improvise scenes in ways that frustrated his co-stars and directors. He wanted everything done his way, often delaying filming for hours. Charles Bronson, on the other hand, was simple. He did not care about fame or fancy acting techniques. He wanted to work hard, do his job, and leave. When he saw Brando acting too much, or treating the set like a stage for his ego, Bronson lost respect fast. In Bronson's eyes, Brando was not acting, he was showing off. And Bronson hated showing off. But the tension did not stop there. There is one story that really shows how much Bronson disliked Brando. During the filming of a Hollywood project, the two were on the same set. Brando, being Brando, demanded the lights be adjusted for him, kept changing his lines, and even argued with the director over small details. Bronson, standing quietly, watched it all unfold. At one point, Bronson reportedly told a close friend, "I cannot stand that guy. All this fuss for nothing. Just act and move on." It is rare to hear Bronson speak harshly about anyone. He was known to be quiet and private, but Brando pushed him to the edge. And here is the really interesting part. Despite this dislike, Bronson and Brando never had a public fight. They never yelled at each other on set in front of the cameras. The feud stayed private, hidden behind Hollywood's glamorous image. Some might think it is strange for two legends not to get along. But in reality, Hollywood is full of stories like this. The more famous and talented you are, the more clashes happen. And when you have two very different personalities, one quiet and practical, the other dramatic and unpredictable, conflict is almost guaranteed. So why does this matter? Why should we care that Charles Bronson hated Marlon Brando? Because it shows a side of Bronson most people never saw. The tough, silent man on screen had strong opinions and personal boundaries. He respected hard work, simplicity, and honesty. And when someone acted differently, like Brando, he did not hesitate to dislike it. It also reminds us that behind every Hollywood story, there is drama we do not always see. Fans only saw Bronson as the action hero, but in real life, he was human. He had likes, dislikes, and clear limits on how he treated people, or how he allowed people to treat him. Interestingly, Bronson did not carry hatred for very long. He was private, yes, but also calm. He never publicly insulted Brando or made a scandal. He just avoided him. And maybe that is why the story is so fascinating. It was not a dramatic Hollywood feud with shouting and lawsuits. It was a quiet, personal dislike between two very different men. Charles Bronson's life and career were full of surprises. We think of him as the ultimate tough guy, but even the strongest people have things that irritate them. And for Bronson, it was Marlon Brando. So next time you watch a Bronson movie, remember, behind the tough exterior, there was a man who knew exactly what he liked and exactly what he did not. And Brando, well, he just was not it. If you enjoyed learning this secret story about Charles Bronson, make sure to stay tuned. Hollywood is full of hidden rivalries, untold stories, and surprising truths. And sometimes the quietest people have the strongest feelings.